Let's tell the story of where Ellie from The Last of Us got her beloved switchblade. We follow Ellie through her first day as she arrives at a military school in the QZ. It's not going so great as she finds herself in a fight and getting jumped by these three older boys. They tell her that she must be the dumbest kid that's ever got off that bus. Well, she started the fight first, but she had warned them not to touch her stuff. Now, even though she's beaten a little worse for the wear, she tells that boy that she would have pulled her punches if she knew that he was so sensitive, and that he should fight her one-on-one instead of being a little chicken shit. But before the kid can punch Ellie again, this girl steps in, grabbing his wrist, and then beating the hell out of the three boys. While Ellie's picking up her Walkman, the girl's teasing Ellie, telling her she should probably try and start making friends before she starts picking fights, and Ellie tells her she didn't ask for her advice. And as the teachers start yelling at the kids for getting in the fight in the first place, Riley turns around to run off, bumping into Ellie as she goes, leaving poor Ellie the only one to be reprimanded from the entire situation and being screamed at about how important Fedra is and how they need to respect them a little more. As punishment, Ellie was sent out to scrub the bloodied and bullet hole-ridden Fedra vehicles. As she's doing this, she comes to the realization that the fireflies must have been the cause of this shootout, and to try and make the time pass quicker, she goes to grab her Walkman out of her coat, only to realize that the girl fucking stole it. Ellie goes and demands to get her Walkman back from this girl that she saw beat three kids' ass earlier, but thankfully she just concedes and tosses it back to Ellie anyway, telling her that she has a shitty taste in music. Later that night, Ellie actually catches her sneaking out and demands that she takes her with her. She tells her simply that they can either stand there and argue until somebody catches them, or she's tagging along. So the pair head out as Ellie finally finds out that the girl's name is Riley, and the two head off across the rooftops of Boston. As the two make their way, Riley's asking Ellie questions as they try to get to know each other a little better. She asks if she thinks about the future, and Ellie says, what, like space and shit? Riley says, no, like our future, like what you're gonna do with your life, and Ellie tells her that that's pretty pointless. And after a little more traveling and conversation, the two of them finally arrive at their destination, where Ellie gets to see a mall for the very first time. Ellie's awestruck when she sees the arcade and runs in to look at the games that she's only ever read about. And as Riley starts to rush her along, Ellie takes one final look back at the arcade, just imagining what life must have looked like before the outbreak. Now, while they're at the mall, Riley introduces Ellie to her friend Winston. Riley actually trades with Winston. She'll bring him liquor and he'll exchange favors, and today's favor is actually teaching Ellie how to ride a horse. Now, before they start the ride, Ellie's asking Riley all kinds of questions. Why she's doing this, why she's like this, does she want kicked out of the school? She knows she hates it there. And Riley tells her no, that getting kicked out of the school is not going to do her any better, you just become a slave to the system there as well. And she tells Ellie to forget about it and just enjoy her ride. So Winston takes Ellie through a lap around the mall and reminisces on what life used to be like. They make it back, an explosion goes off. Winston tells him that he's got to get out of there and find his unit, and tells Riley to head the fuck back now. But Riley has other plans, because it turns out Ellie was just a distraction so that she could steal Winston's walkie-talkie. And with it, Riley's dreams of escaping are finally going to come true. They're going to find and join the Fireflies. But the girls take off for their new lives with the Fireflies as Ellie tries to plead with Riley and tell her that these people have killed soldiers. She's seen that herself. Is she sure about all this? And Riley tells her that they'll be fine. They'll stick to the rooftops and they'll be safe. Once they arrive to the firefight, they see the Fireflies pinned down by the Fedra soldiers, and Riley reveals a plan for how to get them out of there safely. As it turns out, the walkie-talkie wasn't the only thing she had stolen off her friend Winston, as she pulls two smoke bombs out of her pocket. Her plan is to lay down some cover so that the Fireflies will escape, and of course, being so grateful, they'll let Riley and Ellie join, so they throw the smoke bombs and their plan goes off without a hitch. Riley's so worked up about all this action, she throws her hands up and screams in excitement, which of course attracts the attention of the Fedra soldiers. So the two girls quickly go from celebrating to running for their fucking lives. The two successfully get away and go to find safety, to find out that they went from the frying pan into the fire as an infected has found them. In a night that seemingly will never end, the girls are now in a fight for their life, which ends up with Riley getting bit on the arm as Ellie helplessly just beats the infected on the back. But as she did successfully draw the infected's attention away, Riley was able to stab it through the throat. Now immediately Ellie wrestles with Riley, pulling her jacket up and seeing that there is no bite mark, that thankfully that thing didn't break the skin. The two friends hug and share a moment of relief from surviving this near-death experience. The relief only lasted a moment as they've attracted the attention of even more infected. But once again, the girls find themselves running for their lives until eventually they come across a high wall at the end of the alley. But thankfully enough, without another moment to spare, the infected get shot down by the Fireflies, as Riley turns around and brags that the smoke grenades from earlier were her handiwork. Riley's plan didn't exactly turn out as she expected, as the Fireflies quickly knock the girls out and bag them up to take them to a different location. Safely underground, Marlene, the leader of the Fireflies, comes up and cuts Ellie loose. She orders them to do the same with Riley and then hands Ellie an envelope saying that she needs to open it when she gets back. Ellie tells them that they're not going back. She's going to be a Firefly. She knows their entire chapter by heart, and she knows Marlene's their leader. But Marlene's counterpoint is cut pretty short when a group of smugglers show up in the tunnel, telling them to drop their gear, and proving that they mean business by quickly blowing a hole through one of the Fireflies' chest. This leads to a big shootout where Riley was actually able to distract one of the smugglers long enough for Marlene to get the final kill. And as she's bragging to Marlene about this being the second time that they've saved them today, Marlene loses her shit on Riley. Marlene tells her that she doesn't know shit, that this isn't some game. They have no idea what the Fireflies sacrificed for these people. Riley levels with her and tells her that she watched her own dad turn and then rip her mother to shreds. She had to kill her own father. Marlene callously tells her, "Congratulations, you're like every survivor in this world." She tells her that Fireflies all end up dead or maimed, and if that's what she wants, she can go ahead and do it now as she puts the gun to Riley's knee. Ellie freaks out and bites the Firefly that was holding her still, stealing his gun and then turning it on Marlene. Now she says, "Take it easy, Ellie," and she says, "How in the fuck do you know my name?" Marlene tells her that she knows more than her name, that letter that she gave her was from her mother. She tells Ellie that she's been watching out for her whole life, even without her knowing, because that's what she promised her mother that she would do. Hell, that's why she's in the military school she's in right now, because there's no place safer for her. Taking the gun from Ellie's hand, she tells her that her mother's name is Anna, and when the time is right, she'll tell her all about her, and how she gave up everything to save Ellie. Marlene tells the girls to head back to school, but before they leave, she hands her the switchblade, telling her it was Anna's, and to make sure she doesn't lose it. As they're heading back, Riley starts crying, saying there's no way out, and Ellie says, "You know what, fuck this letter, fuck the Fireflies, and fuck that school. Run away together, find new places to live, somewhere that isn't here," and Riley smiles with tears in her eyes, saying that's just picking a different way to die. All roads lead to the same end, as the two of them sneak back into school. But even after this night from hell, Ellie still can't fall straight asleep, as she reads this envelope and then picks up her knife. She clutches and grips it close to her chest, holding on to her most prized possession, the last gift from her mother.